For the moment, let's just go straight across to Mahua Moitra, who joins us. She has been one of the petitioners in this case, wanting to get to find out more about what exactly took place, which resulted in these men being released in the manner in which they were. Mahua, the offence was heinous, grave and serious and deserved no leniency, is what the CBI had said last year. Despite this, these men were released. What does that say?
It actually says what we've been saying all along, and had we not filed this fresh writ petition, all these facts, this documentation as to exactly what happened, how it happened, the timeline, who was responsible, would never have come into the public domain. So this 500-page affidavit, there are three things that stand out. The first thing, Vishnu, is that it is very clear from the affidavit that the agencies, so namely the CBI and the courts, by the special court judge, Anand Yavalkar, were in complete opposition to this decision. The CBI, as you said, has said that it deserved no leniency. The judge said it's the worst kind of hate crime, and Justice Salvi, who was the judge prior to this, has also gotten on record saying that this was the worst kind of hate crime. Yet, in spite of that, we have the centre's letter signed by the Joint Secretary, Minister of Home Affairs, on the 11th of July, saying that we are approving concurrences given to the premature release of these convicts. Now, the point is, when the CBI is saying no and the court is saying no, what is the discussion that led between the Gujarat government and the central government that led to bypassing the CBI completely and bypassing the court's opinion completely? That's the first thing. That's what needs to be brought in. The second thing is, if you read that letter, the central government has given a bulk remission order to all 11 convicts. There is no independent application of mind for each convict. Now, so when you look at settled law, there is a bunch of judgments. Supreme Court, Maru Ram, which is the most oft-quoted judgment, but there are a bunch of judgments which is settled law that in each of these cases, independent application of mind has to be made.
In fact, the same lines have been copied in every case. It's a cut and paste job.
So you can't do that. Right. So, for example, I can say that, my wife has cancer, I want to be out. Somebody else can say I'm 80 years of age. But for all 11 convicts, you can't have a blanket order. So that's the second thing which stands out, that there is no independent application of mind, and each accused application has not been dealt with separately. This is a very, very serious flaw in it. The third thing is that the application actually shows, if you read it, it says that even this 14 years was only notional. If you take into account the parole and the furloughs, the average time spent in prison was only 10 years. So even this 14 years, so imagine you have been convicted of the most heinous of crimes, 3 concurrent life sentences running for gang rape and multiple murder, and you spent 10 years in prison. Now imagine furlough and parole being given on an average of 4 years to these people. Furlough and parole are both executive decisions. So the Gujarat government was already partisan and already biased favorably towards these convicts.
In fact, so Mahua, 1 second, I just want to show this document. This is the document which actually spells out the number of days that each of these individuals enjoyed parole and they enjoyed furlough. In other words, they were out of jail even when they were convicted and they had been jailed, they'd been given time off. One of them, Jaswant Bhai Chaturbhai Nai, has enjoyed parole for 950 days, furlough for 290 days, 19 days. Govind Bhai, Akham Bhai Nai, 986 days of parole, 216 days of furlough. Going down, 934, 163, 909 days, 170 days. Pradeep Ramlal Modhaya, 1011 days of parole leave and 223. So one can just go on. So these people were out even when they were supposed to be in, and now they're out for good.
Yeah, and also one important thing, all this good behavior, in 2020, one of these guys, Minesh Chimanbhai, somebody, one of them, who was out in jail, was actually caught on molestation charges in 2020 when he was out on parole. Even that's on record on affidavit.
Mahua, a special judge called it the worst, and I quote, the worst form of hate crime committed only on the grounds that the victims belong to a particular religion. In this case, even minor children were not spared. So where does the entire issue of good conduct in prison actually count when you've got the CBI and the special court make glaring references, right? And this is the letter of the CBI. I have it over here. This is the letter of the CBI where they're saying under no circumstances should these individuals be released. This refers to one of them, but again, this is a man who's out free.
This is exactly it, Vishnu. These were 12 people. One of them died, remember? So there's actually 12 people who didn't know. Bilkis and her family were complete strangers to them. It's not like they went out with some deep-rooted grudge against Bilkis. They went out randomly in vehicles to go out and basically find people, find Muslims to rape, to kill on that day. And they killed a 2-month baby. They killed a 3-year-old baby. I mean, we can't keep going into it because everyone knows how violent and terrible these crimes were. They were convicted. I mean, even if they were to lock themselves up in a room and prostrate themselves before every god in the Hindu pantheon, I think they would still not count for good behavior. You kill 11 people, 14 people, you rape a pregnant woman multiple times, gang rape her, and then what do you do? Say sorry every day and that's good behavior? And you've enjoyed parole for average of 1,000 days? I think it is very good that before the Gujarat election this has come out. So the true face of the Gujarat government who has given parole, and the true face of this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav and Azadi for criminals, not Azadi for normal people in this world, because you have the Solicitor General rushing to the Supreme Court on a Saturday to try and stop Professor Sai Baba from getting out on bail. You know? So, I mean, let's just get a feel of what is happening here.
I just want to go through these documents, stick to these documents. Moa, this is what the CBI said in the case of Kesarbhai Khimbhai Vahania, who was one of those who's been let out, right? Number 5 on the list of people who was released by the government. The offence committed, the offence committed by the convicted accused is heinous, grave, and serious. Hence, the above accused cannot be released prematurely. No leniency may be given on him.
Is to be given, right?
It's bizarre that you've got such clear-cut statements coming from the investigators themselves. Again, was this non-application of mind, or was this no care about what Bilkis went through?
It was not a question of non-application of mind. It was absolute application of mind by the Gujarat government and the central government. It just shows absolute application of mind in the sense that you made up your mind you're going to do it and you're going to release them no matter what. And it doesn't matter what the CBI says, they give a damn. It doesn't matter what the CBI special court judge says, they give a damn. It doesn't matter as to what the heinousness of the crime was, they don't give a damn. So it was, I mean, look at that letter. It actually says concurrent for a premature release of all 11.
Yes.
You're giving a bulk release order. I mean, can there be any greater non-application of mind?
And let me pull out that document, what you're referring to.
Look at the
because we spoke about the CBI. Sure, we spoke about the CBI. I want to point this all out. I think this is important. So this is the special court order. The convicted prisoners in this case were given life imprisonment twice. In other words, double life imprisonment for different offences. The object of government resolution is not to give benefit to such convicted individuals who've committed gang rape and murder of multiple innocent individuals. Hence, the court is of the opinion that they should complete the minimum punishment prescribed. These are the people who are out.
Yes.
Again, it just seems a dereliction of what the rules are. The rules state otherwise, and somebody's just let them go.
But this...
For good behavior.
But tell me
and that's the most outrageous part of it.
That's the most outrageous part. You have a central minister today saying that this is it's allowed under the law. They've been out for good behavior. So they've been out for 4 years, parole and furlough. That is very high. An average of 4.5 years on parole for criminals for crimes as grave as this. Where do you get 4 years, 4.5 years parole out of 14 years? These are executive decisions. So the Gujarat government bent over backward, jumped through hoops to make things as easy as possible for these convicts. They wrote to the central government on the 28th of June, on the 11th of July, get the go-ahead. Think about it, Vishnu.
So, Mahua, I think just
and then they're arguing about locusts. Half the affidavit is about whether we have locusts. You're talking about whether we have locusts, or the people of India, citizens of India, have locusts to stand up and point all this out. Then these guys are running free.
Yeah, apparently were activists in this case who had no locus to actually to ask questions.
Yeah, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that we had no locus.
So, Mahua, this is now not over, because now it's being questioned. I think that's the key point over here, that on what basis were these men allowed out. So there is hope over here for Bilkis and for...
Yes.
Go ahead.
The most important thing, Vishnu, is you have to realize that till we had filed this fresh writ, we did not even have a copy of the remission order. The union government in all of this brouhaha never came out once and said we had given permission. The lawyer of the other side did, but not once did anyone from the government ever say we had given permission. It was all shrouded in mystery. So one good thing has happened. All the documents have been placed on record. That's, I think, the first step towards justice.
That's a huge step.
The sunlight has entered the room.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing. The next date is the end of, towards the end of November. And I believe very firmly in justice. And, she has got justice from the Supreme Court before. She has got justice from the CBI. Even now, the courts are standing by her, as is very clear from Anand Yavalkar's letter, Justice Anand's letter. So I'm very hopeful that we'll see the end of this. And these men will be back in jail where they belong.
Mahua, thanks very much for being with us.